I'm still talking to columnist Rod Liddle. Rod, this time last week, you and I were looking forward to the US election on the basis we figured Trump would probably win, and we were looking forward to the response or to the number of people it would upset and infuriate, and they certainly delivered. Now, you wrote about this in the Sunday Times, and I do think this was a key moment. The moment that I was convinced that Trump would win was when that idiot Starmer sanctioned sending 100 Labour twonks to the key swing states to campaign for Kamala. We knew then that Kamala was doomed.
That's absolutely right. And Labour complains, well, people have always gone over there. And indeed, it's true. When I was writing speeches for the Labour Party, I knew a couple of colleagues who went over to campaign for Walter Mondale and to Carcass.
The list of success goes on, yeah.
The list of success goes on, yes. But it was never choreographed by the Labour Party itself, which had more sense as a party of opposition. And this was when it was a party of opposition. It had more sense than to risk the opprobrium and loathing of the United States government, the Republicans, by openly coming out and saying we're Democrats. And there were plenty of people in the Tory party who were pro-Democrat as well, but the parties themselves didn't ally themselves with either the Republicans or the Democrats, which is how it should be. And Starmer is a moron, and the Labour Party are led by morons that they did not understand. Don't believe anything you hear about David Lammy saying, J.D. Vance is my best friend, he gave me an extra helping of chicken. Yeah. Do not believe any of this crap.
Yeah.
They are in real trouble with our greatest allies, our most important allies.
Of course they are.
And the people who are leading the free world.
Yeah.
It's not just the 100 half-witted 23-year-olds who jetted off to Wisconsin and Michigan, all the swing states. Yeah. It's also all those Labour MPs who were so intemperate as to say, Trump shouldn't be allowed to visit this country. Trump is a racist bigot. Trump, just have some sense, have some proportion. But they have none of that.
Yeah, well, look, just on this tack, I mean, Starmer yesterday, on a day when, in my view, he should be in his own country, Armistice Day. Instead, he's over, acting like some kind of weirdo with Macron standing in a Jeep going past French soldiers in Paris. Now, what he was up to there, apart from participating in one of the most bizarre sights I've ever seen. Those two idiots standing up as they went past, gendarmes saluting them. What he was actually doing with Macron, though, was plotting to undermine Donald Trump, to try to persuade Biden, while he's still the president, lest we forget, to allow Zelensky to fire Storm Shadow missiles into deepest Russia. And I think that Trump will be very reticent about that. But they're trying to plot, and Whitehall confirmed that it is Keir Starmer's intention to achieve as much as possible between now and January the 20th, when Donald Trump assumes the presidency. In other words, to undermine Donald as much as possible in the next 3 months. The ill-judged stupidity of that on the part of our Prime Minister is off the scale.
It is, and I think it gives a lie to all of these suggestions that actually Trump really respects Keir Starmer and thinks he's an absolutely top bloke and he'd like to go down the pub with him as soon as possible. I mean, it's just a lie. All of that stuff is a lie. There is a sense, there is a kind of common sense approach which says that, look, when Trump gets into office, it may well be that he is able to effect some sort of ceasefire in Ukraine, and perhaps an end to the war, And if that is the case, then what we want to see is Ukraine well prepared for that and in the strongest military position there is. But I don't know if Starmer even grasps that. I think also, by the way, that, and we ought to keep an eye on this, I think the rapprochement with Macron is also part of Starmer's attempts to kind of rewrite Brexit. Oh, yeah. And I think we'll be seeing that at some point coming up over the next couple of years.
A last point, we're going to talk about this later in the show, but it'll be interesting to get your take, Rod. I'm loving the many things I'm loving about Trump winning that election last week. I mean, Emily Maitlis, she really came through for us, didn't she? And so did the rest of the lefties and Stewart, the aforementioned Rory Stewart, etc., etc. But currently, I am loving the dark cloud that Trump has cast over that festival of hypocrisy, Cop29, because he doesn't believe in the climate change, what he calls the climate change hoax. And if the most powerful man in the world, who is in charge of the most powerful country in the world, isn't going to play ball on this net zero claptrap, then it's going to decline and fall, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I entirely accept that there's climate change and that much of it is a consequence of human behaviour. But I don't accept net zero. And I do not. I always get worried when science gets so tied up with politics. It's always a very, very bad idea, which is why I have my doubts about the various climate change institutions at our universities, which are predicated on the fact that there must be climate change and it must be the worst possible change that there could be. Therefore, etc., we must do something about it, etc., etc., etc. It does seem the various COPs have been trying to add up what the carbon footprint is of the 29 COPs so far. I'm only halfway through it. Whether it's sort of Greta Thunberg flying out in a private jet or whatever it is. It's an immense carbon footprint. And I heard a couple of people speaking about it on Radio 4, which is the kind of provisional wing of COP29. And one of them was saying, it's the right-wingers who should, it's the far right who should get behind all this, because if we give £1 trillion to developing nations, it means there'll be fewer immigrants. These people are so smug and stupid. They have no comprehension of what all of this will mean for ordinary people in this country. All ordinary people in America or in France, Germany, and so on. They are driven by what is effectively a religious faith. And it's both embarrassing and hugely, hugely damaging.
It certainly is. And just as we depart company, look forward to talking to you next week, Rod. Just to let you know, the number of private jets flying into Baku in Azerbaijan for the COP29 Festival of Hypocrisy is 400. 400 private jets will be descending on there. So it's very special, isn't it? Rod, always a pleasure to talk to you. Let's regroup next week. Rod Liddle there, fabulous columnist for The Sun, The Sunday Times and The Spectator, where he is also associate editor. I recommend his columns to you unreservedly. They're great.